around the building. So any minute from now, we'll be starting. And I'm happy to see the young team present in such a wonderful way. Interestingly, several years ago, I met with their leader. Their leader, Vincent, at Kariobangi. There's a slum called Kariobangi. He was a street artist, he was a street boy. We rescued him from the street, rehabilitated him, and he was later integrated. And today, as we speak, he's been able to form this group called Team Peace Africa Cultural Troupe. And for him, he's not around. He left the team to continue, and he got a scholarship to China. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Team Peace of Africa. Great. So at this particular point, allow me in a special way to welcome Professor Adolf back to stage to guide us on the next session. Kindly put your hands together one more time as he comes.
Thank you, Davis. As you just heard, Davis is not only an accomplished and talented MC, but he is actually a very strong social work practitioner with a background in child welfare, especially rescuing children from the streets. So, if you have a chance, ask him about his social work practice. It's phenomenal work he's doing. So now I'm delighted to invite Abe Tase to join me here and brief us on the global agenda. Abe is a senior researcher at Institut du Monde Africain, and he's a longtime global leader in international social work, and we're delighted to have him here to share about the global agenda.
Good afternoon. Jumbo. I know it will be very tough for me after this, what you have been sent to speak for you, and I really apologize to begin with. I'm going to talk to you about the global agenda. I don't know if we have slides. Okay. Yeah. How many of you have heard, besides the Prime Minister this morning speaking about the global agenda, how many of you have heard the global agenda before? Not many, huh? Okay. I'm going to lead you to explain what is the global agenda, how we arrived in the Harambee team, how the Harambee team have been structured, and why we arrived this for the last 20 years. Global agenda is something that we started in 2006, and there are 3 periods. I'm not going to, because I know that I've been told that I have only 12 minutes, then I have to be very fast. And there are 3 moments, structuring the global agenda. First is 2006-2010. This was really the moment of organizing, structuring what will be the global agenda in 2010, and the first turning point will be 2010, 2020, and then we have the third period, which is now, sorry, no, you can't, yeah. Then 2010, 2020, and 2020, 2030. Each of them having a specific, outcome on each of the slides. Basically, these 3 periods have themselves 3 dimensions. One is 2006-2010 was around institutional cooperation, rebuilding cooperation between the 3 sister organizations. Saying how, and I will come back to that. The second one was about the issue of relevance. How social work became relevant to the community and how social work could be acknowledged and so on. Because it was also a time, most of you will know, everybody said that the issue of funding is becoming becoming hard since Trump is there, but I will remind you that even before Trump, there are many issues of funding. It just accelerated. Then we have the third time that we can then, for all this problem, we have to have collective action, how to build a collective action, a response to those problems. Then 2006, 2010, really the discussion was among the leaders of the three sister organizations on a long-standing debate, merger, no merger. There was a huge debate, should we work together, how to work together, and so on. The second issue was the difficulty in sustaining global joint conferences. The third was financial and human resource increasingly difficult to mobilize. Question from national and regional bodies about the value of global organization. 2006 tripartite meeting in London as a key moment of renewed commitment, because I have to say before 2006 we have different conferences, joint conferences, sometimes 3 of us, sometimes 2, sometimes 1, and there was always this debate who will go with who and so on. And this was really a problem in order to have a visibility internationally. Basically, I think I will go further. 2010, the kind of Hong Kong as a turning point. Over 2,500 people met in Hong Kong to really, for 4 days, debating what is the agenda for the decade, what we should be addressing and so on. And the entire conference of Hong Kong was dedicated, and the theme was the agenda. And how to set an agenda, not only to fill the agenda of others, how ourselves could be able to set the agenda that can mobilize us, that we can work on. And this is the Undersecretary General Shan Zukan, who said that we are gathered here because of a shared belief that we can change our society for the better. Most of us believe that we can do that, but often isolated, often alone, often fragmented, this was not possible. And I think Hong Kong showed that it's possible working together. And this morning Sergey was saying that we have to change. In order to change, we have to be organized ourselves, not only waiting a change from outside. Then, the first decade was really around the structural issue: equality, dignity, sustainability, relationship. This was really the theme that the first decade have addressed, because it was really a dominant problem all over, and we wanted those to be. And every 2 years, every conference has been organized around this 4 themes. Then the issue was from the agenda to process. Conference, World Social Work Day, advocacy, partnership, strengthening the profile and visibility of social workers internationally, developing new partnerships across professional institutions and communities, contributing more strongly to policy development, using Global Conference and World Social Work Day as a platform for collective engagement, moving from isolated professional action to shared international advocacy. I don't know if you know that nowadays when we have the Social Work Day, all over the world, people the same day are under the same theme, working, going and challenging the government, challenging anything, and also promoting social work education, social work practice, community development. The same day. And I remember in 2010, with some colleagues, we wrote, it was not a book, but kind of specific journal, the Journal of Social Work, and that journal started saying, imagine if we are 500,000 in the street the same day advocating for something. And this is happening after 20 years. Then we moved from the structural issues, or the issues, as I said earlier, equality, that all, we moved the issue like from region to the world. We're a bit tired that everything was coming from one side. We want to say that the other part of the world will have something to contribute, and we want those to come to the forefront. That's why we have taken the Ubuntu. I'm not going to define for you, most of you here know about it. Then we are co-building a new eco-social world, leaving no one behind. We know that how UNESCO and different agencies have been working around that. And we wanted to work with all others to come around this issue. And this morning, many times, leaving no one behind. I'm sorry. This is, you don't know when you speak and sorry that I was looking for myself and not what you are looking. Anyway, then we have the Respecting Diversity through Joint Social Action. Win Vivir from Latin America, where we have been really also trying to promote. And here, Harambee as co-building the shared future. This is what the Global Agenda Task Force with the tripartite leadership have been working to come to this point for since the last 20 years. At the end of the day, the issue is how to transform from dominant framework to plural source of knowledge. We wanted also to see all this process, how to go from one another, how to go to collective action, from professional consensus to transformative dialogue. It's not only my profession, what I do in my area, it's how we could have collectively transformative action. From institutional cooperation to collective imagination, you can't believe the discussion we have within the group of the Task Force of Global Agenda, how many ideas, how many issues are coming and debated. And finally, it's also from the margin to the center. It's Blue, Vivir, and so on. Harambee is also how to come from the margin to the center. How the margin could be the center. It responds to institutional fragmentation by creating a shared process. It addresses structural inequality through global team and advocacy. It's now open space for original concepts and alternative tradition. Its future depends on the capacity to transform cooperation in collective action. Future challenge, turning cooperation into collective action and influence. That was what David was telling me earlier. These are the actual task force working, and sometimes putting at 3 o'clock in the morning because we are in different parts of the world. And I would like really now to call them all to come with me here and to that at least you could say, salute them, whatever. This is the actual group working on the global agenda. However, I have to say that many people have participated to this global agenda process. Let me say that Imelda Dodds, I don't know if some of you remember Imelda Dodds from the global agenda, from the Federation. David Jones has been very instrumental, and please, David, stand up. And David was, he is the one from the beginning has been working very hard. Sergey, at that time, was not yet president of IC. Sergey was one of the really builder, negotiator, discusser of the global agenda for years. Thank you, Sergey. I cannot count. Rory Truel have been really very instrumental. Charles Abe, I don't know, many of us have been working for the last 20 years around this. And thank you for all of you who are engaged on the community, engaged in your school, engaged in every field, bringing the global agenda to something real. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that wonderful update and historical overview. Now I invite our colleague from Access Bank to join us. Access Bank is one of the key sponsors of our conference here, so a very important partner. Please welcome Olamma John Agbaje, who is the Country Operations Officer from Access Bank. Welcome.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. Jambo. All right, so I'm here. My name is Olamma, as was mentioned. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Access Bank Kenya. We recently acquired the National Bank here in Kenya, so we're in the process of consolidating. So I'm here representing my Regional Managing Director, Ralph Okwara, who sends his apologies as he's not able to be here. He had to travel this morning. So I'll give you his address. So distinguished representatives of the United Nations here present, esteemed organizers and partners from the International Federation of Social Workers, government representatives here, development partners, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. So it's both an honor and a privilege to welcome you to Nairobi, Kenya for this very important global gathering. On behalf of Access Bank Kenya PLC and National Bank PLC, I warmly welcome you to our beautiful country, renowned not only for its diversity and resilience, but also for its enduring spirit of Harambee, pulling together for a shared purpose. This conference comes at a very critical moment for our world as we collectively confront social, economic, and environmental challenges. Platforms such as this serve as a powerful avenue for dialogue, collaboration, and of course, coordinated action. The Global Social Work and Social Development Conference stands as one of the most important forums, bringing together thought leaders, policymakers, and practitioners committed to advancing inclusive and sustainable development. The theme Harambee, Social Workers Unite for Sustainable Shared Future, is both timely and deeply relevant. It reminds us that sustainable progress is not only achieved in isolation, but through collective responsibility and shared commitment. At Access Bank, we are driven by a clear purpose. We exist to make a positive impact in Africa, of course, with operations spanning multiple countries across Africa and beyond. We are uniquely positioned at the intersection of global finance, local communities, and sustainable development. Our approach goes beyond banking. We actually say more than banking. We see ourselves as partners in progress, and that's why we chose to partner with this conference. Our unwavering commitment to supporting the United Nations SDGs. We recognize that inclusive growth, financial empowerment, gender equality, and climate action are not just global priorities. They are imperatives for our shared future. Through these initiatives, across the continent, we continue to support programs that directly impact livelihoods, empower vulnerable populations, and strengthen economic resilience. In particular, we are proud of our collaboration around initiatives supporting female farmers, and we're going to have a conversation around that during this conference. An effort that highlights the vital role women play in food security, economic development, and climate resistance, especially here in Kenya. From Nairobi to Geneva and beyond, this initiative underscores the importance of inclusion, participation in shaping sustainable global outcomes. Today, as we gather with experts and leaders from across the world, I encourage us all to leverage this platform, not just for discussions, but for actions, execution. Let us strengthen partnerships, share insights, develop practical solutions that can be scaled across communities and then, of course, the nations. As we engage over the coming days, I hope you find inspiration in the conversations, connections and collaborations that will emerge from this conference. Once again, welcome to Kenya, welcome to Nairobi. I wish you all a productive and impactful conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again for sponsorship and support of our conference. That's extremely valuable and appreciated. And also for the picture of social development and action partnering with the bank. Okay, next I'd like to invite Jeremy Hopkins to deliver a brief remarks. This is Deputy Regional Director of UNICEF, Eastern and Southern Africa. Please, welcome.
The conference organizers, to Honorable Winnie Byanyima, Executive Director of UNAIDS, to my brothers and sisters from the United Nations, to the social work practitioners in the room, Mabibi na Bawana Amjambo. It is a pleasure to be with you, and I thank the Honorable President and the Government of Kenya for hosting this important conference. So this conference is about strengthening the social workforce, and I'd like to bring the story told to me by my colleagues who work in UNICEF Kenya. In Kakuma refugee camp, which you may know of in northern Kenya, there is a young girl named Sirat who has a hearing impairment, and I take a moment to acknowledge our colleague here who's making sure that anyone in the room with a hearing impairment can follow this. Thank you very much. So Sirat faced heightened protection risks in an overcrowded and unfamiliar environment, as you can imagine. Fortunately, there is albeit under-resourced, but there is a community protection volunteer network in Kakuma, and one of these community protection volunteers worked closely with the mother of Sirat, with her mother, providing counselling and guidance and links to available services. Through this support, the family was able to secure a school placement better suited to Sirat's communication needs. Her learning outcomes improved, and she gained access to safer, more protective daily environment. For Sirat and her family, this support is not abstract. It's practical, timely, and life-changing. Yet, Sirat's story is not really about one child. It is about the people and systems that make that outcome possible. Her story reminds us of a simple and powerful truth. Child protection systems do not protect children on their own. Laws, policies, and coordination frameworks are essential, but they only become meaningful when people in this room bring them to life. Those people are the social workers, parasocial workers, case managers, children's officers, community-based workers and volunteers who stand closest to children and families every day. They're often the first to identify risks of violence, abuse, neglect, exploitation, family separation, displacement or harmful practices. They support families before crises escalate. They connect children to health, education, justice, social protection, mental health services, and they help ensure that decisions are guided by the best interests of the child. Their role has never been more important. Children today are growing up in a world marked by conflict, displacement, climate shocks, urbanization, and widening inequalities. Those overlapping pressures are placing unprecedented demands on child protection systems and on the workforce that enables those systems to function. Children on the move do not experience risks according to administrative or state boundaries. Their needs do not stop at the border, yet services too often remain fragmented across jurisdictions and agencies. This is why an inclusive social service workforce is so critical. And protection systems must be inclusive by design. Whether a child is from a host community, internally displaced, on the move, that child should be able to access protection and support within their own country, in any country in fact, and across any border. This requires the workers with the skills, tools, supervision and institutional backing to coordinate across sectors and across systems. Strengthening the workforce is therefore not only about increasing numbers, and we must increase numbers dramatically. It is also about professionalization. Workforce planning, clear roles and standards, competency-based training, licensing and accreditation, supporting supervision, adequate financing and career pathways that recognize the value of this work. Across countries, we are seeing encouraging signs of progress. Kenya, for example, has established a new state department for children welfare services with a projected 500 children's officers across all counties, informed by the recent investment case for the social service workforce for child protection. Other countries are advancing similar reforms through social work education, competency-based training, supervision frameworks, and stronger quality assurance systems. The evidence is also becoming clearer. Investing in the social service workforce is not only, and it is ultimately, but not only a moral and child rights imperative, it is also a sound economic investment. In Kenya, analysis suggests that strengthening the social service workforce could generate annual economic benefits of approximately 380 billion shillings, equivalent to 2.5% of GDP. In Zambia, strategic workforce investments would require less than 1% of the national budget, while helping address challenges affecting millions of children and reducing the long-term social and economic costs of underinvestment. You'll hear more from the Kenya and Zambia delegations during this conference, and their experiences offer important lessons for the region and beyond. The message is clear. Investing in the social service workforce is both the right thing to do and the smart thing to do. It is an investment in human capital, stronger institutions, social cohesion, prevention, and sustainable development. But no single institution can do this alone. Meaningful progress requires political commitment, domestic financing, and strong partnerships, and a shared recognition that workforce strengthening must sit at the heart of child protection systems development. So as we begin this conference, let us use this opportunity to move from recognition to action. Let us learn from countries such as Kenya and Zambia and many others which are demonstrating what is possible by developing comprehensive workforce plans, integrating them into national systems, and ensuring that they are reflected in government budgets and ministries of finance. Let us finance the workforce, professionalize it, and invest in its sustainability, and let us ensure it can reach every child in any country and across any border. Because when we invest in social service workers, we invest in safer children, stronger families, more resilient communities, and a future where every child can grow up protected, supported, and able to reach their full potential. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for those remarks. Thank you, Jeremy, and thank you, UNICEF, for being another wonderful and valued sponsor of our conference. So now it's my great pleasure to invite Jenestic Tikuriza back up to introduce our VIP keynote speaker for this evening. Jenestic, as I mentioned earlier, is the fearless and tireless chair of the International Program Committee.
Thank you so much for gathering here this afternoon, and it is my great pleasure to introduce somebody that I've looked up to for such a long time, and it was actually my dream to be able to introduce her to this podium. Ms. Byanyima Winnie leads the United Nations efforts to end the AIDS pandemic by 2030. Previously, she served as the Executive Director of Oxfam International and as a Member of Parliament for her country, Uganda. A passionate and long-standing champion for social justice. And she has also founded the Forum for Women in Democracy, a Ugandan non-governmental organization. Ms. Byanyima is also a globally respected leader on inequality, and in 2025, she served on President Cyril Ramaphosa's G20 Extraordinary Committee of Independent Experts on Global Inequality. Why it is so special today to have Ms. Winnie Byanyima speak to us is that she's unapologetically pro-human rights, which aligns so well with our esteemed profession of social work. And as we started this evening session, she was just landing at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport from Washington, D.C. So it's passion, it's dedication, it's commitment. Ms. Winnie Byanyima will be speaking to us this evening on choosing justice, collective responsibility in that divided world. You're most welcome.
Thank you, Janesik, for that kind introduction. The host of this very important conference, Professor David Androff, and your three co-hosts, Excellencies, distinguished participants. Salamu kwenu wenzangu. I said greetings to you, comrades. It's a profound honor to be with you, and I'm grateful for the invitation. I must say that social work has always been something I admire and love. Yes. And I love to be around social workers. So thank you for inviting me. I served in a revolution in my country, a civil war against a dictatorship, a brutal dictatorship. And when the war ended, I sought a seat in parliament to go to make a new constitution for my country, a post-crisis constitution. And one day, one of my friends from that struggle, a former combatant, said to me, Winnie, you think you are a politician. You are not. You're just a social worker. I told her, this is the greatest compliment you have made me. I come to you directly from New York. On Tuesday, at the United Nations General Assembly, the world adopted a new political declaration on AIDS. It's called United to End AIDS by 2030. It was hard-won, and it carries commitments on some of the very things I want to explore with you today. That civic space must be protected and communities allowed to lead, that the people most affected, including marginalized populations, must be named, recognized, and reached, and that extreme inequality harms people's well-being, and that there is much we can do about it. I will return to that declaration through this talk. Why am I here? I do not come to you as a social worker, much as I admire you. But I'm also not a doctor or an epidemiologist. I'm an activist, someone shaped by a struggle for democracy, struggles for women's rights, and for social justice. I lead the United Nations Global Response on the AIDS pandemic. Why? Because ending AIDS has never been only a medical challenge. The Secretary General of the United Nations asked me to lead this joint UN program on AIDS because HIV is not just a virus. It's a mirror on the world's economic and social fractures. And the progress the world has made over 4 decades has come not only from science, but from confronting those inequalities. The HIV response is a prism through which to understand the world. A pandemic driven by inequality, both acute and long-term. As social workers, social development workers, especially those of you from this region of Eastern and Southern Africa, you know the HIV pandemic, the AIDS pandemic, and you know the inequalities behind it. Through failure and through success, the AIDS response, the people working in the AIDS response have learned a hard lesson, that inequality